With record levels of both gender-based violence and crime in South Africa, personal safety is top of mind for most people. And now a South African app is hoping to help. Eyerus tracks people while they're driving, walking or jogging. It also automatically supplies users with evidence to present to police for use in courts should they need it. And it's the winner of the 2022 MTN Business App of the Year. The app's developer, Sibusiso Mbhele, joins me now. Sibusiso, first of all, congratulations on this award. It's a big accolade, certainly. And I'd like to tell our viewers about some of the features. So it's designed to offer various safety features from panic buttons to armed response. And I want to start off by asking you about the check-in feature.
Hi, good evening, Andy. Good evening to your viewers. Thank you for having us. Great indeed. It's been quite an honor to win the MTN Business App of the Year Awards under the Best South African Solution category. The check-in feature is one of our most interesting features that we do have within the app. You know, we have these young ladies that go out with people they don't know in various dates. So what the app does is that it sort of almost determines whether you are safe or not during the period. What you simply do is you tell Eyerus that you're going to a particular place at a particular time, and then you ask Eyerus to look after you within certain intervals, be it 15, 30, 45. And then within that period, Eyerus will be able to look after you. In the event whereby you do not put in your unique password, Eyerus will be able to then let your guardians, which are people you would have preloaded on the app to be your guardians in the event whereby you're in trouble. They know whenever you are not fine, because then the app does alert them.
So you also talk about protection for when a client moves into the red zone. Can you explain to us what that means and the protection that the app offers for people who might be walking or jogging and find themselves in unsafe situations?
Moving through the various stages on Eyerus. Eyerus is very easy to use. It has the 4 main states that determine how safe you are, from being safe and being unsafe. And when you do go to the red zone, what happens is Eyerus then switches on both your front and back cameras and starts live streaming audio visuals onto a secure cloud. During that period, what Eyerus also does is then it alerts your guardians, as I mentioned earlier, people you would have preloaded on the app as your guardians, and it then alerts them. They can now see, hear, and also locate where you are, because at this time, Eyerus also reveals your location. They are then able to navigate through to you. And hence, in that period, all the evidence that has now been logged onto the cloud, it's usable in court because it has timestamps, date stamps, and location stamps. So it's quite credible information that, or evidence rather, that can be used.
Have we seen, I want to go back to how the app itself works, but before I get there, has evidence like this app been used in court and been accepted in court before? Because that's quite an interesting facet.
Well, Andy, we launched the app on the 13th of February 2022. Yes, we are currently sitting with just under 5,000 subscribers. And during this period, we have managed to gather quite some interesting and incredible evidence. And before that, though, we were able to speak to the various legislative authorities to find out the credibility of the evidence. And with us having to reveal that the evidence does have untapped metadata, meaning that it has not been tampered with, then does qualify it in a court of law.
So technology moves at incredibly fast rates, and algorithms and sensors these days are used to not only track movements, but to gather data around us constantly. So I'd like to find out from you how Eyerus works in determining whether you're safe, whether you're unsafe. And the reason why I'm asking is that in many situations, we don't necessarily have our phones in our hands. A woman walking home from work might, for instance, have her phone in her handbag. And if she's attacked, it's going to be very, very difficult for her to first open her phone, use her fingerprint or her unlock code, search for the app, and then notify the app that she's unsafe. So what kind of technology does the app use to determine that situation by itself without needing direct input from the user?
Well, Anli, it's quite interesting you asked that. In most situations, we do preempt things of that nature happening. So we have quite an interesting feature called the dead man trigger on our app. What you simply do is, it's normal to walk with your phone in your hand these days. So it's those situations where you're moving from your office to the car, or you just got out of a taxi and you're walking home. What you simply do is you hold the phone on your hand, and then when you let go of the screen, what the dead man trigger functionality does is that it then goes on to blue alert mode, where it calls private security wherever you are. It's we have about 5,400 boots on the ground across all 9 provinces. We have a 5 to 8 minute turnaround time in urban areas from a reaction perspective, and slightly longer when you go to the outskirts.
That's incredible. So you come from a telematics background in vehicle tracking, and you and a friend decided to develop this app based on the crime statistics affecting most South Africans. So it's a huge inspiration for tech entrepreneurs out there. How did you experience the development process of the app and the support that you got? And just to inspire tech developers out there, how did you fund this app? Because that's where a lot of entrepreneurs struggle.
Yeah, that's quite an interesting one. I think we all, within the 4 of us, we formed what we call Green Eye Consortium, which was then started with the aim of looking after the vulnerable groups, which is then your women, children, and people living with albinism safe. So we had to fight with our families, obviously, to use some of our funds that we had within our kitty, to try and start this app. This app does have an element of a philanthropical element, so it does come from the heart. And I think was the basis of our passion and where we are now. And I mean, this was then further affirmed by us winning the MTN App of the Year awards. So one would then say that then the passion and the khiyas that the team had then did assist us with moving forward. We were self-funded. It is quite an expensive exercise to develop an app. Initially, for us, when we started, it was just about trying to put in a hand to saving South Africans. We did not quite understand how intricate financially it would be, and we found ourselves in a point where we literally need to use our reserves. However, we are here and we're still pushing forward, trying to make the best of it.
It's a great story. You said the app is already available since February this year and is being used. So where can people access it?
It's very easy to find. You can find it on the Google Play Store or the Apple App Store. You can just download, put in the necessary details, or you can also find some of our information on our social media handles, Eyerus_app, or our website, www.eyerus.app.co.za.
Before I let you go, do you see scope for this app to grow and develop into different arenas, perhaps even home safety, linking up with the kind of sensors that people install in their houses to alert them if there's an intruder? Do you see the app moving in that direction at all?
Oh, yes, definitely so. The manner in which we built the app, we built it to be quite agile. So we can do, it is multifaceted. So we can do various things with it. One of the things that you did mention earlier was what we call wearable technology, being able to link those panic buttons to the app. In the event whereby your phone is not with you, you are then able to press, that panic button remotely, when you are in trouble. So yeah, definitely in the manner in which we did it, we think it's the right direction at which the country must go. I mean, we also sell the app to businesses for as an employee benefits, to say that the company cares. And what we also do with the app is we are introducing it in institutions of higher learning. And that's exactly the core of GBV, where it really happens as well. And because we find our girls in suitcases these days, we believe that, yes, most institutions have got sufficient boots on the ground within the institution, but what the app does, it then assists them to be able to be proactive within the institution and be able to detect, as and when it happens, these social ills of GBV and F.
Well, thank you very much for speaking to us. Eyerus app developer Sibusiso Mbhele talking to us there about the MTN Business App of the Year. They're one of the awards in one of the categories there. Certainly an interesting app to look at. Personal safety is something that nobody can take for granted in South Africa. We see our soaring crime levels. So have a look and see if you can do some research about that app.